commentary today. This one's going to be formatted a little bit differently than the ones that we've already posted. This is going to just be a generic replay analysis. This is going to be a mid-roll. He's going to be playing Alchemist, and the MMR I believe is around 3 to 3.5k. So this is going to be aimed towards the legend players, maybe all the way up to like right below ancient, in or around there. We'll go ahead and start the replay. And this is a game that is going to end up being a loss, and we like to use replays that are losses as a point of reference because it's very easy to look at a game where you win and say, oh, I played great this game. But what's difficult to do is it's difficult to go into a game where you win and you try to find something that you did that you could have done better. So we're going to use a loss. And it looks like we started with the Quelling, the Stout Shield, we got one Sav, we got one Tango. And our lane opponent, just looking at the enemy team, we're going to go ahead and take an educated guess and say that it's most likely going to be Storm. These starting items are fine, laning against Storm. The one thing that I don't really like, just straight away, it's 30 seconds before the bounty rune spawns. We've already put our point into Greevil's Greed, but we're not helping our team secure the runes. So when you get this at level 1, the bounty gold is shared across everyone on the team, and the Greevil's Greed does affect the bounty rune gold even if you do not pick it up yourself. But you still want to be up there to try to ensure that your team gets the runes because it's a huge influx of gold for the Alchemist at level 1 if you get 2 or 3, right? So probably doesn't need to be sitting in the base right now. I guess he's just going for a creep block. And the one thing you also want to be careful of when you're going to the mid lane is some mid laners and the opposition will go to that rune. And when they go to the bounty rune at level 1, they're not going to really have a block. And one of the worst things that can happen for you at the beginning of a game is you block too much, and then the enemy laner doesn't block at all. And then you end up getting your creeps in tower range. But it looks like we lucked out. The Storm Spirit got his own block. It's actually a little bit better than ours. We're doing some nice aggro toggling here, just trying to pull the lane back a bit. When you do this, it's really nice to be able to get the range creep deny. You'll notice right away that the Storm got the range creep CS, and our Alchemist player was not able to get his own range creep. That's just due to the melee versus range discrepancy, and the Alchemist also not just walking up. Level 1 Storm is not really that scary. All he can do to you is drop a Remnant. There's no overload or anything like that. So when he's level 1, going for the first range creep can be very, very good. Took a little bit of a trade here. Ended up favoring us. He stood in the acid spray for a little while, so he took a little bit more damage than we did. And we're going to get the range creep hit that time. So we've kind of recovered from our first wave being a little bit of a mess. We're going for the Aquila Rush. This is a very common build nowadays. Going straight into the Aquila treads and then Radiance now just completely forgoing the Armlet build that used to be the standard. We've probably missed about 3 or 4 creep kills so far that we should have just been able to get very easily.
Thanks for playing Dota.
We also have to think about sending out regen. If it were me, I probably would have delayed sending the courier out for at least another like 10 to 15 seconds so I could ensure that I could put regen on it. Tanked some tower shots there that we didn't have to take. It's a little bit of damage. I like that we're pushing in at the 2-minute mark. Pushing in every 2 minutes is a great habit to be in as a mid player because it ensures that if the enemy laner does decide to go for a rune, then you're going to either be taking tower damage or you're not going to be able to go to the rune at all, right? So I like the fact that he went for that pressure. But the problem that he's running into right now is that he's still sitting on a very low amount of HP. Imagine if he had just waited for 2 more creep kills that he knew he was going to get, had the Tangos or Sav just sent out to him straight away. Then he would have been at full HP right now, and he would feel very confident in being able to contest the wave. So we get 2 Savs. We're going to miss the CS because we're not paying attention, I guess. I don't know. He easily could have hit that one. We've probably missed at least 6 or 7 creeps now. That should have just been very easy gold for us. And that stuff adds up, especially when you're an Alchemist. Fortunately, for whatever reason, the Storm player doesn't seem like he wants to ferry his own regen out. So we still have a health advantage, which is great. And we're going to get our Aquila. So even though we're winning the lane, we could be winning it a lot harder. Sending out regen at the proper time, not abusing the courier this much. Also taking a lot of needless damage, like taking the tower shots, not pulling the creep aggro enough. Sometimes when you're laning against a ranged hero, he's going to get pot shots off on you, and you notice that the Storm hasn't left the lane yet. It's because he knows that the Alchemist doesn't have stun, and as long as the Alchemist doesn't have stun, you can't really get the kill. And the Alchemist is also kind of getting baited into these not ideal trades by trying to go in and hit him because he is low, but there's no real way he's going to get the kill on him at all. Should be... Oh, that should have been an easy creep. I was going to say he should get all 3 of these, but he ends up missing another, so... We're getting close to about the 10 CS miss mark that we should be able to get. Invisibility. When you're playing very farm-dependent heroes, especially ones like Alchemist who do have Greevil's Greed, every creep you miss is exponentially worse than any other hero in the game, because you're getting that stacking gold buff. So if I've missed like 10 creeps, then it's more than just the gold from those creeps that I'm missing. So we drop an Acid Spray, we try to fight that Storm Spirit when he's inside of the spray. But we don't have enough HP to really fight right now. We're just trying to get that level 6. Nice Tango trade there from the Witch Doctor. Prevents us from dying to the Fatal Bonds.
Dominating, I guess.
As soon as this hero hits 6, I don't really see any more problems for him in the lane. The other thing that he could do is, since he is against a Storm, he could buy Stick. Personally, I feel like you can play around it as Alchemist, because once you do hit level 6, you get that really nice regen for yourself, and the Stick charges just become kind of pointless. Oh, we got really lucky with that Acid Spray. He got 2 creeps out of that wave. Most of the time, if you're playing against a decent mid, they're not going to let the Acid Spray get the last hit on the creeps, but he ended up getting 2. So still doing alright on the CS. He should put his Aquila in his backpack here. There we go. Getting the bonus efficiency. And we should be able to hit 6 off of just the next wave or 2. But you notice the Storm is higher level. He's got more denies. The Alchemist has been forced out of lane. So we're kind of in a situation already where we're not feeling super hot. Storm is trying to go for the denies in the spray, as he should. The one thing, too, to note is this is a Radiant Alchemist. When you're playing on Radiant, you can stack the Ancients from pretty much mid lane just by throwing an Acid Spray onto the camp. And that is a huge influx of gold for this hero later on. You really want to be in the habit of stacking those Ancients, whether it be starting at like level 5, level 4. If you can sustain the mana, maybe you want to go for a Soul Ring, maybe you want to go for a bottle. You really want to throw those Acid Sprays on the Ancients to stack them. At this stage in the game, there's not a single hero on the Dire team that would be able to take the stack at all. And there will come a stage where just being able to throw out the Acid Spray and having regen on is going to be enough to kill the stack. Now, if you do that, you most likely want to max Spray instead of Greevil's Greed. He's getting a lot of creeps denied from him right now. At this point, it might just be more beneficial to spray the creep wave and hit the jungle. But he's still going to be running into some mana issues, even with the Aquila. If you don't have treads for tread switching and stuff, you're not going to be able to sustain your mana pool enough. That's why, personally, I like the Soul Ring build. I know that Aquila gives you the benefit of the armor and the stats. It did just get a slight nerf, -3 damage. But I'm personally just a bigger fan of being able to stack and just play it as greedy as humanly possible. Looks like he's going to be tanking a fair amount of damage here, but he's got his Chemical Rage regen, so not too big of a deal. But you'll notice the Storm has more or less just caught up at this point. And some of that is due to the fact that he only has level 2 spray. Skilling the spray to level 4 by the time you hit 7 is really, really nice because it allows you to push the wave just that much faster. Gets the spray down, they're not going to be able to dive. Yeah, see, I don't like the maxing greed. He also just missed another 2 free CS. We're probably missed about 15 plus CS at this point. That alone and just regular gold, if like the average creep were to give 40 gold, it's like 600 gold that we just don't have. And then you add the Greevil's Greed on top of that, which like baseline is around 20, I want to say. So we're missing more like 800 to 900 gold just from CS that we should not miss. I just want to kind of keep reminding people of that because you see you miss a CS every once in a while and you think, oh, it's not really that big of a deal. But if you miss, like, on average, 1 or 2 CS a wave, that means that you're getting roughly anywhere from, like, 25% to 50% less farm in the first 10 minutes of the game. So it does matter a lot if you keep just missing free CS. Even more so important on an Alch. So he's going to be sending his treads out. His farm is pretty low at the moment. And it looks like he's going to get himself some clarities for potentially jungling. You want to be really careful about clarity use right now, especially when you're in a melee versus a mid matchup, because that Storm is going to be able to walk up and just freely hit, and your clarity is going to disappear. So most of the time, you're going to want to use your clarities while you're already in the jungle, and you're going to partner that with the Chemical Rage, and you're just going to use that to farm. It's good that he's not popping any clarity out here. He should use one now, though. There we go. So he's got some regen. He's going to go back to the Ogre camp. I would probably wait for the next Chemical Rage to go for the stack. Looks like he's going to be waiting it out. The other thing about having a low-level acid spray is you jungle a lot slower. So instead of being able to kill those camps really quickly, get back to mid, drop another spray, stuff like that, it's going to delay all of that. Our clarity is going to get removed here by the Warlock. And our other lanes are obviously not going well. But this is an Alchemist that's going to have a very hard time dying. Their supports, a Warlock and a Grimstroke, pretty difficult to gank this guy with just that set of heroes. You're going to have to bring probably 3 minimum if he has Chemical Rage, or he's going to have his Rage on cooldown. Okay, this is way too aggressive. There is absolutely no way he gets this kill. Alright, so we're going to potentially live through this. Chemical Rage is a heck of a spell. As soon as you saw the heal come out, he should basically not chase anymore. We're going to go back to the mid lane, probably assuming that the Storm doesn't have any mana, so even though we're low on HP, it's going to be hard for him to kill us. But the Grimstroke TPs, and we're going to be forced back. Uh-oh. We might be in trouble here. Okay, the dagger misses. But he's still dead. So we still get punished by our greed. If we hadn't chased the Storm into the tower, we probably would have ended that Chemical Rage at full health. That haunt never happens, that death never happens. So just by like simple observation, we basically died there because we tried to dive the Storm. Even though it wasn't an immediate reaction, it was something that happened as a byproduct of our aggression under the tower. So that death is basically 100% on us. So our farm isn't great. We've died. And we're still not even halfway to the Relic Gold right now. We're going to shove in the wave. He's got some good farming habits. He always drops the spray immediately when he walks to the lane and then he goes to jungle. That is a very, very good habit. You never want to sit in the lane longer than you have to as Alch. You want to get the creep kills as fast as humanly possible and then leave the freaking lane. This is a very fortuitous spawn. Golems are great for Alchemists. They spawn into 2 smaller golems that just continually stack up the Greevil's Greed. This is one of the best camps you can get. These baby satyrs, probably the 2 best medium camps. The worst one probably being the Centaur camp. So our Relic is looking to be about maybe in like 2 or 3 minutes if we're farming well. Don't have a point in a stun yet, that's fine. We're not really looking to move around the map. And Alchemist is one of those heroes where you're not really looking around too much to try to find anything. Oh, this is a really nice gank, if it works. It's unfortunate that the cast didn't bounce back to the Storm, but looks like he'll still die to the Maledict after all. Alright, we're back into the Jung.
Radiant structures are fortified.
I like that he's not finishing off every single creep with auto attacks. He's trying to be efficient with his time. He starts moving when he thinks that the camp is going to die, so he doesn't have to auto attack it more than absolutely necessary. Also a good habit. I'd say so far his ideas of how he wants to play the early game are for the most part correct. He didn't stack Ancients, which is a huge mistake, because that is an enormous amount of gold that he's just taking away from himself. And he's missed, I would say, probably upwards of about 20 creep kills that he should just have. So because he missed those creep kills, he's down he could probably have his Radiance right now if he had just not missed as many CS and also stacked the Ancients. He probably would have had Radiance in about 13-14 minutes. Especially as Radiant, you really, really, really want to remember to stack Ancients. If you look, we'll just pause really quickly, and we'll do the free cam so I can show you guys. So the distance between this tower and this Ancient camp, and then the same tower and this Ancient camp, are a lot closer than the Dire side, right? The Dire side's a bit of a hike, and then the other camp is all the way down here. This camp is also much more exposed, so when someone walks up to the high ground, you're going to be able to immediately see this guy in the camp, and you have to like run in a direction that's not directly away from where you're getting ganked from, right? So this camp is really dangerous. This camp is nice because you're sitting on a high ground, and the only way that they can see you first is if they smoke all the way around the bottom and walk to the north. So this camp is very, very safe. It's also way closer to mid lane because you don't have to actually walk all the way up here, right? You can stand like in this spot here, and you can just throw an acid spray, and the creeps will get pulled. So this camp is the same. You can stand like over here, hit the acid spray on these creeps, and just pull. The other part about this camp is that, again, I can stand way back here because I'm going to acid spray. I'm going to pull the creeps back so I don't take all the damage. And then the enemy team is most likely going to come from this way. If they do, I can just run straight away. So the Radiant side Ancient camps are set up so much more safely, at least, than this one is. This camp is fine, actually, because it does have 2 low ground points near it, and you can run to the right and you can kind of run to the north. So this camp is fine. But again, it's distance from the tower that causes like the inefficiency of being able to stack the camp in conjunction with the other one just not really being that safe. So just as a note, any hero that can farm Ancients in the early game, primarily like your Alchemists, your TA, maybe Medusa if you had a really good start, or a Drow Ranger or a Huskar, these heroes can all farm Ancients at a relatively early point. You want to abuse that as much as you can because Ancients give a lot of gold in EXP. Alright, let's go ahead and go back to our player perspective. You always want to make sure that you're stacking the Ancients with Acid. Now, the important thing to note is that if you are stacking Ancients, you're not going to be able to jungle as efficiently, so you want to do it before you have the mana sustain to be able to go from the lane to the jungle. So I would say before, like, probably level 4 is when you want to start stacking it. You can get like 2 or 3 stacks pretty easily by the time you hit 6. Max your acid spray by 7. That'll help you farm the jungle way more efficiently. It'll help you kill your stack. And you'll just get a huge amount of gold if the enemy team doesn't contest. So we're letting our tower take some damage here. I would probably just walk straight mid. Okay. He's out of there. Wonder if he realizes his relic is in his backpack. This acid spray is going to make us miss 2 CS. Okay, just 1. We got lucky with the other one.
Top tower is under attack.
So a little bit more CS just being missed here.
Top
Yeah, you want to max acid because acid is like... Acid is how you kill the Ancients. If you're not going to stack Ancients, you can go 2-0-4. That's fine as well. But I personally enjoy doing Ancient stacks. So we're getting ganked under our tower here. Looks like our Chemical Rage was on cooldown. Let's go ahead and rewind and see if there's anything we can do to avoid this. Alright, so we're kind of just chilling mid. Let's check for wards. We pretty much see everything that's happening right now. We have full vision. We're going to walk up to the wave anyway. So this is the one thing that we probably could do better. Acid Spray cooldown. Chemical Rage cooldown. We know both of those spells are down. We do not have a wand. We don't have raindrops. We don't really have any survivability item at all. Probably don't need to be this far forward. If he had Acid Spray up, I would say standing up here is fine. But since he had neither of the spells that he's going to use to keep himself alive, I mean, sure, he has Unstable Concoction, but the Phoenix, if you dive, you're going to turn into an egg, which means likely it's not going to hit. And the Concoction projectile is very slow. It's very, very easy to dodge. Now, this isn't like a super high skill game, but I promise you it's not that hard to dodge it on Storm. So we get Dove. We start channeling the concoction. Lo and behold, there's an egg there. Now right here, decision making. He's trying to run away as far as he can from the egg. If it were me, I probably would have ran to the right into that tree line. I'm probably going to get stunned no matter what. Like, I'm too close to the egg to really get away. I want to break vision of the storm as fast as I can to force him to use more mana on ball lightning to catch me. Now it's a small thing, and maybe he doesn't even live. But walking straight away in vision is not going to protect me here. So we take a bunch of damage. We end up dying again. Looks like we get one counter kill. Alright, so that death kind of sets us back. The part about this game that's a little bit scary is if you look at the net worth, the Spectre is very close to our net worth. This should be more like 10k net worth at this point. So we're talking like full Radiance, probably another item on the way. Maybe he goes for the Yasha, maybe he goes for the Blink Dagger, whichever. But we're talking like almost a full item behind at this point of optimal farm. So we're going to respawn here in a second. Let's see what we do. TPing to the top lane, that's interesting. I guess we're TPing here because that's where the most creeps are. Personally, if it were me, I would TP mid. I have an Earthshaker on my team. This guy's obviously going to want a Blink Dagger. I'm in the position 2 hero, which means I do have farm priority over him. So it's not like I can't walk up here and take his farm. But having the Earthshaker with a Blink Dagger helps our team. And I want some semblance of team fight. Like, look at our heroes right now. How do we initiate an engagement? What's our game plan, you know? Right now, the only way we can start a fight is if they walk into us. And then we're relying on Unstable and our Fissures and throwing out the cask and all that stuff, which is fine. But if we just give the Earthshaker that lane, he gets like 500 gold from that wave. He's getting really close to Blink. I can TP mid. I'm still going to be getting farm, even though it might not be as much. Like, I think it was a double wave top. Sometimes it's actually better to give the other people on your team a chance to farm an item that's going to impact the game in a big way. So if you have that Shaker on your team who's like halfway to Blink at 15 minutes and you TP to take his lane, you can't really expect him to have the Blink Dagger, right? Because at this point in the game, he can't really... he can jungle, but it's not going to be super effective. Our jungling is wildly effective. It is very, very strong. We have Acid Spray, we get Grievel's Greed, so we get bonus gold as well. There's actually no reason to take the lane from the Shaker right now. This TP is just... it's a greedy TP, and it also hurts our team. Looks like I had the wrong player perspective on there for a second. So this is another kind of mistake. We see a bunch of people fighting over here. We should be pushing this lane. Walking away from the creep wave at this point is the way that you lose map control very quickly in low MMR games. So a fight happens, people die. The other core heroes get scared, and then they don't push a lane even though they see where all the heroes are. Now I want to make this as clear as possible. If you just lost a couple of heroes by your mid-tier 1, you have to assume at least 1 or 2 of them have TP'd, right? Even if you didn't see it, let's assume 1 or 2 TPs. There is only really one way that we die in this game if we have Chemical Rage on, and that's if we're getting hit by, like, everything. You guys saw how tanky this hero was earlier on in the game. By not pushing the lane, you are not pressuring the map. By not pressuring the map, you are allowing the enemy team to transition those 2 kills into an objective without punishing them. He could be pushing the tier 1 right now. The next wave could be dying. He could be hitting the tier 1 after that. And it would force someone on the Dire team to teleport, or they would risk taking a lot of damage, or just straight up losing the tower. You know, who knows? Maybe one of their TPs is down. Now, the counterpoint to this is, what's the worst case scenario? Okay, we go top. We get to the tower. We end up dying because the Storm and maybe the Phoenix TP, or the Grimstroke and the Storm TP, and I die. And now I'm upset because I died. But the reality is, they could have just been killing your mid-tower. And any Alchemist player is going to tell you that they want their towers alive as long as possible. because those towers protect your side of the map. And the more real estate that you have to work with as an alchemist, the happier you're going to be. So TLDR, push the lanes when you see a fight break out somewhere else on the map. As a core, as anyone. Doesn't even matter if you're playing in position 1 or 2. If that fight is over and you cannot help, push a lane. So now we're kind of just hitting some jungle creeps. Now because this is Alchemist, it isn't terribly more inefficient than being in a lane. But we could have potentially gotten a whole nother wave or two down and been pressuring. So now we're looking at mid. We want to try to defend this instead. Again, our chemical rage is down, so if they run at us, we're going to be pretty vulnerable. The big thing we want to remember here is that if this tower ends up dying and no fight breaks out, this entire rotation was just completely wasted. Alright, so we're going to get ulted. Our chemical rage is still down. We walk forward to try to defend. Our chemical rage is up in 1 second. We probably are still gonna die, actually. Yeah. So the fight is actually gonna end up working out in our favor. We'll pause and we'll think about this for a second. So we rotated. We tried to defend a tower. The tower died anyway, and we died. And the Spectre lived. So once again, we're looking at the net worth, and Alchemist is a hero who wants to be playing from ahead. Are we really far enough ahead to feel comfortable? I'd say at 17 minutes you have Radiance plus 1 item. Like, minimum. Especially if you get a lane that was as easy as the Alchemist had. Now, the supports really can't gank him. The Phoenix came mid twice, couldn't kill him. It was just impossible for them to deal enough damage to the Alchemist or control him enough to be able to take him down. He only died later on when he walked in front of the tower with no abilities up. So, given the fact that he really didn't die in the lane, his farm is actually very, very far behind. And our decisions so far, like not pushing the top lane, that's probably at least 1,500 gold we just lost by just not pushing top. Think about that. Think about, all I did was decide to farm a jungle camp instead of pushing top, and it made me lose 1,500 gold. I lost potentially 2-3 waves of creeps. Maybe I get the tower on top of that, and plus I don't die. So on the way back, maybe I farm the small camp and the big camp. And all that can very easily happen in the time that it took him to stand by that tower and just get dove, lose the tower anyway, and then still die. So even though this trade at face value looks like it's good, a 4 for 2, the fact of the matter is, we're in a terrible spot, at least as far as our hero goes. We're not nearly where we want to be in regards to farm. And we're playing from behind already against the Spectre lineup. It's a very, very scary situation for us. So we're going to spend 30 seconds on the sidelines. And this is after we get our farm accelerating item. So this death feels even worse. We just finished our Radiance right before we died.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower has fallen.
So we're checking out the bot lane. We're going to TP. This TP is fine. There's no tower to defend mid. There's no tower to defend bottom. Anything that happens to the people in mid lane is pretty much exclusively their own fault. Like, those 3 deaths were just completely unnecessary. I guess did they get the tower? Yeah, okay, so they pushed the tower. And that was their contribution. But we got our Radiance now. We're going to try to catch up. I like the acid spray usage, trying to get both camps in it simultaneously. Good habits, just the decision-making aspect and the mechanics are kind of struggling at the moment. We should be easily like 4,000, maybe 5,000 net worth farther ahead. Just because of some really, really small choices. I think that's why in Dota at lower levels it's so easy for people to kind of minimize the importance of their mistakes. Because they just see it as, oh, I just didn't push this one wave. But everything in Dota has a domino effect, so by not pushing that one wave, how many bad things happened to this Alchemist because he just didn't push that one wave top? Lost a tier 1 tower, died. Then my team pushed mid after the fact, after that fight, and then they all died. Well, we get the tower. But we end up dying again. Alright, so let's go back. We're going to review the death, see if there's anything we can do. Okay, so the one critique we would have, you notice our chemical rage is actually more than half over. The haunt goes out. And we didn't know the storm was TPing, but two things. This is wearing off. I have no TP. So let's just not talk about the fact that the storm is going to TP and kill us. Let's talk about the implications of both of these things being down. What does that mean if I get ganked? It means if I get ganked, I pretty much can't run away. So is it worth it to push the tower when I know that I can't escape? And my time on the map is more valuable than pretty much any other hero just because of how much gold I get for killing creeps. If it were me personally and I saw the storm was alive, I would not push the tower because I knew that my chemical rage was going to wear off. I would just go to the jungle and I would rotate through some camps and then I would go back to another lane. But because we go for the push, we end up getting some CS. We do ultimately secure the tower. I think if we held that concoction for a little bit longer, actually, we'd probably kill this guy. That's another play we could do too. Once we were committed, if we decide that we're going to push anyway, charging the concoction for maybe even like 1 second longer would have stunned him for a longer duration, and it probably would have resulted in us killing him. So two things we could do differently. We could just decide to make a completely different play, or we could hold our concoction stun and just kill the guy. That would have been the super hype play, because that kill, at this point, what level's the storm? Let's check. Okay, so he's 14. So getting that kill on him is a huge deal. It's a lot of gold. We get the tower, we get a kill, we get like 2 or 3 waves of creeps. Would have been a very, very nice turn for us. So I believe this is death number 3? No, number 4. Okay, so we've died 4 times. I would say every single one of these deaths was extremely easy to avoid. It's not like the enemy team is popping smokes or anything. Most of our deaths were just simply us being out of position or making a ill-informed choice. Alright, easy kill. At this point, I would be thinking about making my way towards top. And I've noticed this throughout the game. The Alchemist player, he goes and he farms like 1 wave of creeps or 2 waves of creeps. He pushes those out and then he immediately walks back to the jungle. I have very rarely seen him pressure to the tower. The one time he did was bottom, when he was probably certain that no one was going to be coming to kill him. So, if anything, showing in the lane more can be a good and a bad thing. Just as a general premise, when you're playing in a pub game, this is applicable at any bracket, by the way. If you are a hero that needs farm, you're gonna have to show in lane. You just have to. The lane is the most valuable place to be in terms of experience and gold if you're not a hero with like a blink and a battle fury, right? Because efficiency-wise, that hero will be able to farm the jungle fast too and like rotate to lane and so on and so forth. But for an Alchemist, he has to show in lane. He has to pressure the map, at least to some degree, right? So his hero is not the one that ganks. He doesn't have a blink. He doesn't have bots, no Shadow Blade, no way to really start fights. Those are the types of heroes that might not want to show in lane as much. But the more important aspect of it is that killing the creeps and pushing them to the opponent's side of the map creates space. It makes it so that the enemy team has to react to what you're doing. In Dota, the best defense is a good offense. Every time you're pushing a lane and the creeps show up at a tower, the enemy team has to decide, do I want to TP? Do I want to fight? Do I want to try to go for an objective? Most of the time, especially at lower MMR, they're going to choose to defend the tower. And when they do that, then you can go to jungle. But just walking to jungle, when there's a wave like this close to you, I believe that that wave could very easily be killed, and then you can just walk to the jungle after, right? Like, just go for the one more wave. You're a very tanky hero, you have Chemical Rage, 1600 health, 7 armor. The enemy team has to commit a huge amount to kill you. We're gonna go for the orb first. I would recommend not doing this. The Yasha is much better for farming efficiency. Gives you movement speed, gives you attack speed, gives you a little bit more armor. You obviously don't get the health. But I would argue the Yasha is even better for survivability. So we're feeling a bit more confident now that our team's behind us. Our sniper's going to peep down the tower. We're going to pop our Chemical Rage, and we're just going to go straight in. So we get silenced here. Nice. We kill the ghost, and we get the stun off. That fissure kind of hurt us. Now at that time he had to release the concoction early because the Phoenix was going to egg anyway.
Impossible kill.
Oh, the Desolate made us lose vision. Well, fortunately, I don't think the Spectre actually saw him stun himself, so he might get to live. That was both very unlucky and very lucky at the same time. So Desolate makes it so that if there's no heroes in a certain range of you from your team, that you just lose all your vision. Or is it just regular allied units? It might be allied units. But because he lost vision, he couldn't throw the concoction because he got auto-attacked by the Spectre with no one around. But the Spectre panicked and just ran away, so instead of getting a free kill on an Alchemist, she just walked back to base. Guess we're just going to leave that creep for another time. Maybe we want to go for a stack here. Maybe that's why. Nope, we're just going to hit the creeps. So our gank on the Storm is not going to be too successful, though we are making him use a majority of his mana pool. And we're just running after this, huh? This is what I would call optimistic. I don't know if I like being mid right now. Our Sniper and our Shaker are still pretty far away. The enemy team has Golem. It's going to be really hard to fight this. Alright, we go into the A. We get hit with the Golem. Yeah, we're just going to die for this. So this entire push was just a bad idea in general. So let's go back a bit. Alright, so while we're mid, let's just pause and let's look at the state of the game. We're about 1,400 net worth ahead of the Spectre. It's 23 minutes in. We have a Manta and a Radiance, which I would say we're probably more than a full item behind at this point. Probably closer to 2. How does Alchemist win the game? Just as a very generic question. What is it that makes this hero so unbelievably strong? The thing that makes Alchemist good is that he farms faster than pretty much any other hero in the game. His goal, and his only goal, from a core position, is to just bury the enemy in gold pieces. That's all you want to do, is just hit creep, hit creep, hit creep. By the time it gets to 30 minutes, you can have 6 items. And I'm not talking like 6 2,000 gold items. I'm talking like 6 very expensive 5,000 plus gold items. And then you walk to the opponent's base with those items at 30 minutes, and no one else on the enemy team is going to have anywhere near what your farm is. So just from a general Alchemist perspective and how I want to play the game as that hero, I don't want to walk down a lane with 2 items at 23 minutes into a potential Golem and a Phoenix Egg that sounds like a disaster for me. I don't have a BKB. A majority of the damage coming out from the Dire team is going to be magic-based anyway. My team is definitely not going to be able to live through that. And there's a Spectre, which means that even my Sniper is at risk, because a Spectre can just pop Haunt and just kill him. So if I'm playing Alchemist in this game, I'm not looking to cross the river unless I am fully confident that I am tanky enough to be able to take that damage and take the fight. So now, just being here in general is what I would never want to do. I would never do this because I am not farmed enough to feel confident. And what ends up happening? We die again. We got like 2 creep waves and then we died. So many things have happened already in this game, and it's only been 23 minutes that have set us back. A lot of needless deaths, missing easy farm in the lane, not stacking camps, not pushing the lanes enough. There's just a lot of things that we can do differently already at the 23-minute mark that would have an enormous impact on the game. So we'll go ahead and, I think it was like 3 forward? Yeah. So we're dead now. We're going to fast forward through this. This is essentially a team wipe. Like, we just all died. And we all died for a suboptimal choice. It wasn't even, hey, we made the right choice, but we died. It was, we made the wrong choice, and then we died anyway. Alright, so we're going to pop the Manta to push the creeps. That play is fine. I like that he's farming in the enemy jungle right now. This is a good habit to be in as well. Our illusions are going to spot out the Phoenix and the Spectre. That's fine too. Now see, this back I'm okay with. He saw some heroes, then he decides he wants to go back. That forced the enemy team to walk to the top lane, and now they're going to have to address that wave before they can do anything. That's the kind of pushing that you want to see. You want to see pushing that causes the enemy team to do something, and then you either react to that directly or you walk to another point on the map. We're going to pick up our Blink Dagger. We can stack here. Looks like we're not going to stack. This is the second time we've walked to this camp when it was stackable and just not stacked. So that's more gold we lost.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So now with our Blink Dagger, we've opened up a couple of options. We can go in and just get a really quick stun on like the Warlock, maybe the Storm Spirit, maybe the Phoenix. Those are our high priority targets if we ever get into a fight that we can't really avoid. Still not really feeling like that really tanky overfarmed Alchemist though that we want to be. So the Spectre pops her Haunt. We're walking towards mid. We decide, okay, 3 people are dead already. There's basically no way I want to fight this. Now, we have to make a choice. What do we do? Oh boy, we're hesitating. You really don't want to go in on that. Okay, so now, right now, this is a point where you make a choice. You make a choice and you say, am I going to sit behind my tower and blink behind it and stand here and not do anything? Or am I going to walk to the top lane? Let's rewind 1 second. Or 10 seconds, I mean. So right here. We're playing the game. They're running at us. My blink's off cooldown. We know we can't fight. There is nothing we can do here. There are 4 heroes. They still have Golem. They still have Egg. We have no one alive except for our 2 cores. We can blink up. We can walk straight up to this top lane and we can push. Our TP is off cooldown. Walking down here and walking towards our base is a huge mistake. So he says he wants to try to go for a stun, maybe to save the sniper. I respect that, that's fine. As soon as the Spectre stops chasing, we no longer want to be sitting here. The sniper can sit on the high ground and spam shrapnel just fine. And the other part about it too is, what does our presence really do? What is our presence doing here? Is it stopping the enemy team really from doing anything? I mean, if anything, we're just missing out on farm. And we're missing out on the ability to pressure. And again, look at our side lanes. This one's approaching the tier 2. This one's going to be crossing the river soon because it has more range creeps than our wave. We're going to keep throwing stuns. We're going to try to keep the tower alive. And when our Chemical Rage is up, we're going to brute force our way in and try to defend the tower. But there's a golem and an egg. We no longer want to be here. Enemy team seems to be diving a little bit deep here. Our Chemical Rage is still active for a couple more seconds. Oh my. Our Chemical Rage is worn off. Oh, he got just out of range of the cask bounce. That's very unfortunate. If that cask had bounced to the storm, this fight could have been very good. And now I think we both just died. So, again, another decision that basically results in us dying when we could have just been pushing a side lane and accumulating gold. I want to stress that one of the most important parts about playing Dota is understanding what your hero is supposed to do. Alchemist is supposed to hit creeps, acquire an enormous amount of net worth in a very short amount of time, and then end the game with that net worth. Any time that you are doing something that does not contribute to that goal, you are not playing optimally. All you want to do is hit creeps. There will be times later on in your Dota career where you can feel good enough to make decisions like, oh, I want to take this fight because X, Y, or Z, and that's great. That's how you improve. I totally agree with that. But when you're at this level and you don't understand your hero limitations, it's always better to just stick to the basic game plan of let me hit creeps. Let me just keep hitting creeps. Do everything in my freaking power to hit the freaking creeps. Because that's how Alchemist wins the game. There are some heroes that won't be able to do it that way, and you'll have to adjust your game plan accordingly. But for this hero, hit creeps. And push side lanes too. Good habits. Good habits. So we're dead again. We're just going to fast forward past this. We lost our tier 2. The ultimate irony of that whole situation is that he put everything into trying to keep that tier 2 alive. Like, he really didn't want that tower to die. And then what happens? He dies, his teammates die, and then the tower dies anyway. The fact that we're even on net worth with a Spectre at 30 minutes, you can have, and this is not an exaggeration, you can have double the net worth of this Alchemist right now if you just play optimally. Double. That means you'd have 32k net worth, and the Spectre would have 15k net worth if you just played the game to the Alchemist game plan, which is just hit creeps. And the really, really good Alchemist players probably would have more than double. So we're popping our Manta. We're using it to farm. Gonna push the lanes a little bit with it. That's fine. We're kind of just standing still, though. Maybe want to click somewhere else on the map. We're actually just completely standing still for like 10 straight seconds when we could be hitting a camp. Or at least walking towards another lane. Now we have a ward bot and we see a lot of heroes. What do we want to do? We want to push the lanes. I like the acid spray and run. That's actually a very good call, but we should be walking up. We should be running straight to top right now. So again, we're making the same choice we made earlier. We see a bunch of heroes in our vicinity. They're all in our jungle. What is the rest of my team doing and what am I doing? I'm running to where the enemy is. Why is this wrong? Because it's already been shown multiple times that we can't win a team fight. They have Haunt with the Radiance. It's going to break our Shaker's Blink Dagger. They have Egg. They have Warlock ult. Their team fight is just better. The way that we compensate for their team fight is our Alchemist being double the net worth that he is right now, but he's not. So walking to team fights is pretty much only going to accomplish one thing. We're going to keep losing fights, and we're going to keep dying, and we're going to keep failing to defend our objectives. This play is completely based around the enemy team making a mistake. Whenever you can, you want to avoid playing in a way that forces the enemy team to mess up. You want to make them mess up. And how you do that is by pressuring, not by defending. You force the enemy team to make a mistake by pushing a lane to their tower, and then someone TPs back. And then, oh no, the people bottom lane who had 5 heroes suddenly have 4. And then we take a better fight because someone had to address the push that you made. That's how you take a fight in this game. You don't walk to the heroes directly with 5, because 5 versus 5, you will lose in this situation. Spectre is a great team fighting hero. So is Warlock. So is Phoenix. We have one or two pretty decent team fight heroes, 2 farming heroes, and then a Witch Doctor. So I would be walking to that top lane, and I would not be looking at the bottom part of the map at all. Even just walking down here is a mistake. Alright, looks like maybe we thought better of it. Okay, here we go. See, this is the good stuff right here. My entire team's going to walk bottom. I don't want to go bottom. I just want to hit creeps. I'm an alchemist. So this is the correct choice. We have done the thing. Alright, the Spectre's going to pop Haunt. Oh, we don't run away from this wave. Don't run away from this wave. Your team is so dead. Just don't TP. Okay, we canceled it, but we wasted the TP, so that's unfortunate. And now we feel like we have to run back to base because we just wasted our TP. Another really big mistake. There is pretty much no way that we're going to be able to defend. As soon as the Haunt comes out and you see that Golem, you have to immediately be able to discern, I cannot do anything. Okay, so another situation. This happens a lot too at these types of games. So like your Legend to maybe low Ancient games. People are going to try to defend when there is no way that they're going to be able to defend. Not a chance. Like we got 2 heroes dead with no buyback. Our Shaker's up in 18, but he has no blink. Now sure, maybe the enemy team messes up and decides to either dive tier 4s or run away. But I want people to be in the habit of making the correct choice regardless of circumstance. So there's a difference between making the wrong play and it working out, and making the right play and it maybe not always working. But getting into the habit of making the correct decision means that on average, things will go well for you. It might not always work, but the odds are going to be in your favor. So walking to this lane, what does it do? Okay, I'm going to throw an Unstable Concoction at the level 24 Spectre. It's not going to do anything. It's going to stun him for like 2 seconds, and then he's going to keep hitting the racks. Maybe he runs away, maybe he doesn't. But the fact of the matter is, there's a ton of people down here, and I only got a Witch Doctor to help me. So where should I be? I should be mid, I should be top. Either one of these lanes is fine, just don't be here. More time lost. So now we're just dead. We got no buyback. And yet another death where we just made the wrong choice. And I don't want to make this any more complicated than it has to be. It doesn't matter how he executes it, right? It doesn't matter at this point in the game, like, oh, I should have just manted that, or, you know, concoctioned earlier, oh, I just didn't hit my Chemical Rage. None of that stuff matters at all. The only thing that matters is that you walked bottom instead of continuing to push the lane. That is the only thing that matters. Because everything after that point is already a different result. Okay? Think of like the butterfly effect. I'll be Ashton Kutcher for this replay analysis, right? Just stick to your plan. Always, always stick to the plan.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So the Spectre is enormous. We're very, very far behind at this point. We're not even the highest net worth anymore as an Alchemist. The game has definitely gone on its head when you get to a point where the Alchemist is not the highest net worth hero. We're probably going to end up watching 1 or 2 more engagements, see how it goes. Because this game we do know ends up being a loss. This is the first time I've personally watched it. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to pause it here. And I think this is probably where we're going to go ahead and call it. I think we've gone over kind of every single thing that there is to go over. And let's just move away from this because it's really noisy. So, as far as understanding how the Alchemist wants to play the game, we're definitely not quite there. We don't get the I want to just hit creeps part of it. And I'm sure after having watched this, and thank you, by the way, the guy who gave me the replay, you're going to play way better just knowing this stuff. Just knowing all I want to do is hit creeps. All I want to do is hit creeps. I'm not going to name the guy who sent the replay because anonymity in this case is a good thing. There's no reason for me to name him. It would be silly. This guy is the median MMR, which means most people are about as good as him, if not worse, at the game. But this is meant as a constructive replay analysis that is meant to help him improve his game. If he likes to play Alchemist, then this is the replay that you want to watch, because this is the replay that I can explain how and why you want to do things on that hero. So, end of the replay analysis. I'll try to take 1 or 2 questions from the chat, as this is a live recording, if anyone has anything pertaining to this game, and then we'll go ahead and call it. How do you decide when to stop hitting creeps and when to fight? So as Alchemist, I only really want to fight when I have an item advantage. That's priority number 1. Alchemist is, I have Grievel's Greed. I want to abuse this to the utmost, get an item advantage, and then I want to go and fight when I'm like 1 or 2 items ahead of the enemy team. Rune control during laning phase for Alchemist. So I've seen some Alchemist players go bottle, and you can do that. You can go bottle or Soul Ring. I think Soul Ring is better because Soul Ring is not predicated around getting the runes, and you won't always be able to get them. This game, it was pretty easy to play the mid lane because no one was ganking us. So we could have very easily just gotten every single rune, and that would have been fine. Like, bottle would have been A-okay this game, in my opinion, because we can push the wave with Acid Spray, pick up the runes, no one's coming to gank us, sweet. But in some games, you're going to have really active supports, and buying a Soul Ring can just be a lot more stable. Do I think that the team composition was good versus a Spectre team? At this MMR, and I'm going to be just completely honest, team comps do not matter that much. A lot of the time, people make so many mistakes in a game that in the legend bracket, literally anything can happen because people play so suboptimally that even the worst team comp, quote-unquote, can win. Now, that's not going to happen as much at higher MMR, but it is still possible. But in this particular game, I don't think the team comp mattered at all. I think the Alchemist could have won the game completely by himself if he just played correctly. Anyway, that'll wrap up the commentary for this game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, you guys can catch me live at twitch.tv/Draskyl. That's DRASKYL. I have a Twitter account as well. It's at DraskylDota2, TWO. And the YouTube channel is still pretty young. We're trying to upload videos at least once every other day right now. We're going to have 2 coming today as well. It is September 8th, I believe. So hope you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am. And I'll see you next time.